Okay, here's a look at the internals on the main gun. Because I'm using extensions on the servos, I'm going to show them to you one at a time. The trigger servo, moment, works just fine. Now, if I want to run the tank and not be able to shoot paintball, if I want to have it like on safety, I just leave the gun uncocked like that. After it's cocked the first time, the CO2 will recock it, but you do have to cock it the first time. So if it's not cocked that first time, I can pull the trigger all day long and it's not going to shoot any paintballs. Still got to do something with that SD card. Now, I got the traverse hooked up. More than enough. So it's not quite as stable as I might like, but I don't know. We'll have to see how it acts when I get the whole thing, you know, ready to go. These will both be on two separate pots, and there's elevation. This will be the pot that I'm going to keep elevation on, and this pot will have traverse. This pot has volume for the main engine sounds. Volume for the secondary sounds is still on a knob inside the tank. But I don't know if I can get away with putting it on a shoulder switch or not. The shoulder switches tend to be not quite so smooth. But I got two of them, and I might as well use them for something, right? Okay, so hopefully sometime tomorrow I'm going to put the upper hull on and wire everything kind of temporarily. The plan is to bring everything to a central point right here. I'm even toying with the idea of putting in a daughter board, so I've just got one plug to unplug. We'll have to see what happens, but it's all going to come to one central point here, so that when I take the hull off, it's all right there, because I am going to have to lift the hull top off to change the battery and the paintball, or the CO2 for the paintball. You can see that I've got the mount now this is permanently attached. I got rid of the Velcro, it wasn't strong enough, and this has been JB welded in place. So that's where we're at. Okay fellas, we all know I've got the world's messiest workbench, and it's kind of spread to the world's messiest hobby room. So I'm going to do this bench test, this video, and then the bench test video, then I'm going to take a little break and clean some of this stuff up. So anyway, what the point is, our purpose here today, is that I'm getting ready to do the best bench test on the electronics in the upper hull. The only thing I won't be testing is the actual paintball cannon, because I got to wait for the line for the CO2. That won't be here for another week. I did get the small line, the one that I boogered up, and so that's been replaced. And it's ready to go. The paintball, the CO2 tank, that's been mounted. I couldn't use the Velcro, it wasn't strong enough, as strong as it is. So JB Weld came to the rescue. Right now, a lot of stuff is just taped in place, but part of the point was I wanted to show you guys why I was really thinking about doing a daughter board for this, because before I can set that hull top down, I've got a lot of different stuff that's got to be connected. I've got the elevation, that's the only one that's not tagged, and that's how I know it's, traverse is the only one that's not tagged, and that's how I know it's traversed. This is elevation. This is the traverse on the MG34. This is the trigger on the paintball cannon. And then the LED for the MG is right here. I will eventually attach like either another line or JST connector or something. But I was thinking about bringing everything over here and putting in a daughter board. That way I just have one main cable when I want to change everything. Because when you go to the tank, you know, you got all the same stuff that's got to be attached. Elevation, traverse, machine gun, trigger. This is for the light in the MG34, and this is all coming down on this side of the tank. So if I were to hook up, I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. So anyway, everything's in place. I'm going to put the upper hull on, hook everything up, and do a bench test. I'm not going to set it down and run it or anything. I'm just going to do all the upper hull functions. And I gotta say that at this point right now, my biggest concern is going to be strength. You can see here, this is the traverse attachment. The servo's mounted and it works pretty good, but the problem is that there's like a lot of slop in a lot of this stuff. So I'm worried that once I get this out and start running, things are going to start taking a beating. One of the ones I'm really worried about is this rod. I'm afraid this rod's not going to have enough strength and it might bend. I'm thinking about going to a tubular type deal for this to get more strength. The one thing I'm sure of is the frame. The frame's rock solid in there. It'll break this hull before it breaks that frame. But you can see there's kind of a lot of play in there. It kind of shakes around a lot. It's not that might be good. That might help to give it a little give so that things bend instead of breaking, you know. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. So anyway, I'll put it all together and we'll do a bench test. And this is the bench test. Just in setting up, I've learned a few things already. For example, the little servo is not going to work for traverse. I'm going to have to go to the high torque. The alarm goes off way too much on the I-10, and that's one of the nice things about the I-10. If you overwork your servo, it lets you know it's got an alarm for that. I'm also going to set this on top to give you guys an idea of what I'm looking for with the FPV during this test. If you look at the screen, it's actually looking at us making the film. Hi there. But I'm going to set it on top of the Hetzer so that you can get an idea. But we'll get to that. I thought first we'd take a look at some of the detail stuff that has been done since the last time we got a good look at the outside. The MG34 still works. I did a video on that before. Alright, now the mantlet is not permanently attached yet. It will be, but for now it's not. It won't make any difference for our test. The no-tech light isn't permanently attached. The periscope is not permanently attached. Pretty much everything else is. Put on the front fenders. Those are all on with nut and bolt. I think I showed before that I fixed the cable for the no-tech light. Before I paint, I'll fill that gap. You can see right there where the fender is soldered together. It still shows through the paint. The FPV camera is actually going to hang under the mantlet. Soldered together the toolbox. It is not yet permanently attached. The lid does open on that. The exhaust is completely mounted, but I still haven't built the smoker. I'm just trying to give you a little view of all the details. Still got to attach all the photo etch guards for the periscopes, and you know, there's still a lot to do, a lot more tools to go on. Still got to put in the convoy light, and there's another fixture back there that goes on. Still have to put on the jack. The jack will go right here behind the you know, I never was real clear on just exactly what this tool does. I've seen it referred to as scissors and bolt cutters, and I don't know, maybe somebody can enlighten me. But anyway, the jack will go right there. Still got I'm going to have to scratch build the radio base for right there. Not exactly sure. There's a couple of these on the tank. I've got to do more research to find out what they're for. Okay, so let's get with the electronics party. I've already learned I'm going to have to replace the servo for traverse. As I said, the mantlet's not permanently attached, so I'm going to slide it forward for the purposes of the bench test. The barrel isn't permanently attached either, but I put the traverse for the MG34 on the elevation circuit, on the servo elevation circuit of the IBU2. One big disadvantage here is that I cannot fire and turn at the same time because of the way the Mobius is, or the Mobius, hello, the way the IBU is, you push half stick forward to get movement, but you got to full stick forward to get sound and flash. So I don't know, I might put the traverse for the MG34 back on the slide switch. That's where I had it before, but it's kind of jerky there. I'm not sure. Maybe if I go with a better servo, we'll just have to see. But for now, it's got traverse on the recoil elevation circuit. And I didn't try to do elevation on the MG34. It's just going to be fixed. Okay, the main gun has two pots on the I-10 to control it. One for elevation, which I'm using a high torque servo. It's very smooth. I got a couple of little clearance issues. I have to do some work to get, I need about another inch or so of elevation, but that won't be difficult. And I get lots of depression. There's the alarm I was telling you about. Now when I get this all set up, I'll set my endpoints on my servo so that that doesn't happen. But for right now, I really like the elevation. I think it's very smooth, no problem. I'll be able to dial hello, slow down, kid. I'll be able to dial it in and fine-tune my aim with the laser pointer for the paintball cannon. This pot is for traverse. Now, as I said, I already know that the servo I've got in there isn't going to work, but it does. The system does work. I think this one will be okay if I just go with the higher torque servo. I think clearance is no issue for that servo. That servo is actually sitting right under here, and I've got plenty of space under there. It does make it so that I have to be very careful when I take the upper hull on and off, but you know, basically you want to use great care when you're taking the upper hull off of any tank, right? So I'm not too worried about that part. But we do have traverse, and like I say, the real tank, as Herman researched and found for me, only had 5 degrees left and 11 degrees right traverse anyway. So 5 degrees is probably about that much. Not a whole lot. There's that alarm. But I'm good with the system and how it came out. Like I said, it needs a little tweaking and fine-tuning, but as far as function goes, I think it's going to be fine. Strength is still a concern. I'm still not sure, you know. But anyway, that's where we're at right now with the Hetzer. Yeah, I'm not sure about that pull-pull system. I need to, that's one good thing about the larger servo. I'll really be able to tighten up that pull-pull, and it shouldn't give as much, see how it kind of bounces a little bit when I move it? I'll get much better fine-tuning with the larger servo. Still not sure if I should put the MG34 back on the slide switch. You guys tell me what you think. But I'm pretty happy overall with the way the MG34 came out. Okay, I'm not sure what the glitch was with the Mobius cam, but I unplugged everything and plugged it back in, and then everything worked okay. So this is the screen, and as you can, I don't know how well you'll be able to see what's on this screen. There's me. You're just looking. We're just looking back at me as we're looking at the tank, and the camera that I'm going to use is this one, and it'll have a separate transmitter. This is the Mobius docking station setup. That's I use that with my FPV goggles. This is set up to sit on top of a Tiger tank. It'll sit on any Tiger turret and gives you instant FPV for video or for just for driving. And I've got the goggles that go with it. But this camera is I'm sorry guys, I was just looking at the screen in my hand and looking at the video camera at the same time, and it just totally confused me for a second there. But anyway, this camera is the one that will get mounted underneath the mantlet with the laser pointer, and I'd really like to come up with some kind of system that I can adjust the laser pointer so I can fine-tune in my sighting, you know, get that paint marker going exactly where the little red dot is. But the Mobius works really well with this little pilot, and like I said, Eric turned me on to this, and it's just a great little piece. It'll work with anything. It'll work with the transmitter that I'm going to put in there. It'll work with the Mobius cam. I can run the Mobius cam with my goggles, and this screen will also pick up that signal, so I can hand this to someone there and they can see the same thing that I'm seeing through the goggles as I drive the tank. So, you know, the kids might really like that. They get to watch as you drive, and vice versa, you know. You can keep an eye on them with this, and if they start to drive into something, you can give them a little nudge. But wherever the Mobius cam points, I don't know how well this will show up video to video, you know, so it'll be looking right down the barrel of the tank. You'll be able to see the red dot for the laser pointer, and I just think it's going to be a pretty cool little feature on top of the radio there. And that's the main reason I did it, was for the cool factor. You know, that was the whole point. A lot of this tank is just all about the cool factor, for people to say, wow, that's cool. You know. See you next time.